Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural fantasy and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of Onmyo Kaiten Rebirth Verse. I'm probably going to get that wrong and struggle with it in the future, but I think I nailed it this time. Great series premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we get introduced to our main protagonist, Takeru. Once again, I, from the trailers, couldn't tell, whether or not, he's in his dream world or whether there's a real world that he had dreamed about. But whatever the case may be, we had the opening where he's running from these monsters and he gets saved by who we later on get introduced to. I'm going to say Tsukimiya. I think it's pronounced Skimiya, but I'm probably just going to just say Tsukimiya just because it's just that will at least stay in my head versus I don't think I'll ever be able to properly pronounce it. I don't think Tsukimiya is how you properly pronounce it. Whatever the case may be. He gets saved by her. And it's oh my God, it's the girl of his dreams. He's crushing on her. And it's right, I protected you this time, so next time you make sure to save me. And when he wakes up, he's literally, in his world, just getting the piss beat out of him because he ended up in kind of some gang's territory. Which you gotta give it to Takeru, the whole, shonen protagonist, I'm never gonna give up. I'm always gonna stand up. Literal, his family motto is, don't give up until you're dead. And even when you're dead, don't give up. I'm curious about what that means in the grand scheme of things. Because he says it's family motto. I'm wondering, with this being isekai rules and stuff like that, he ends up in another world, and a question comes later on, oh, you ready to get back to your world? He's he was kind of hesitant, no, I finally found you, I'm in the same place as you, I kind of don't want to. So I am curious, does he actually have a family? Was he did his family die? Is he kind of an orphan? I'm curious about that. Obviously we just got introduced to him. We don't really know enough, but we'll learn probably as the series progresses. But yeah, but he's tough as nails. I mean, he's literally zip tied to a pole and he still was whooping ass. He eventually got himself free at some point for him to have escaped. But he was tied up, kicked and headbutted people and was still rocking them, and they have weapons and he's tied to a single location and he still beat them up and managed to get away. It speaks volumes about him. I wonder did the reason why he went there in the first place in that territory is because he probably is kind of I'm a delinquent, but I fight for justice, and you guys are bad guys, so I came to wreck shop. Because they were because they seem like they have enough experience with Takeru, because they were we hate you and you're not give upness, we hate that about you. So they must have had countless run-ins with him. He's always probably been a thorn in their side. But how he gets isekai in this situation is he sees the little creature that was with Tsukimiya and he ends up saving it before it gets run over. So it came to this world maybe looking for Takeru because it needs him to be in this other world. Because in his dream, Tsukimiya knew this creature, I think, but I don't think they interacted at all when he came to their world, did he? I don't know. But yeah, basically the dream he has at the beginning of the episode was the 199th time that they've met, but the 2000th time ended up being the good luck charm because hey, I finally met you. God knows how many times he's had that dream, because I guess anytime he's asleep, whether it's him just naturally sleeping and going to sleep or even just being unconscious like he was at the beginning of the episode. But yeah, he wakes up in that other world and he meets her, but obviously she has no frame of reference of who he is. He just interrupted her performance because it seems like she's a dancer. It seems like she might be, if I had to make a parallel, it seems like she might be kind of in a similar position as Yuna. You're very important in the grand scheme of things. It's a weird parallel I was about to make, but it's she's a dancer, but it seems like she's kind of like a priestess dancer, where she's performing a ceremony performance that she's putting on for some high-ranking people. But I was wondering if she kind of serves a similar purpose with Yuna from Final Fantasy X, where it's the summoners have their own roles and they do their dance. It's their way to send the souls of those who are deceased. So I don't know if it's exactly like that, but I was maybe you can draw some parallels in that regard. But obviously Takeru finally meets his crush, and he, she thinks he's a creep because it's he ended up landing in front of her boobs, and then kind of the guy who kind of oversees everything, we'll just call him Sei for sure, because one of the characters refers to him as Seichin, but it's obviously it's part of his surname, I believe, but he's the head guy who runs the organization that kind of protects the city. He gives me, speaking of Final Fantasy, he gives me Seymour vibes. Like, it feels like, oh, I'm gonna pretend to be a good guy, but you're gonna quickly find out I'm actually not that good of a guy. But I don't know. Maybe he just seems like main op like material. Like, he seems like he could easily be a secret villain, but it's probably like he just got that like, oh, I'm so cool and so powerful and everyone looks up to me and likes me thing because I do keep the place safe. But I'm like, I don't know. He gives me that vibe of like, there's something off about this dude, but it might just be like, nah, like he's not necessarily that he's in Takeru's way when it comes to Tsukimiya, but there could be something like that. Once again, first episode, we don't know everything because Takeru himself is getting introduced to this world. And I thought it was interesting because it is a different world, because he even asked, like, did I go back in time when he learns the name of this place? But he's like, because it's like Denji Haiden, but he's like, no, it's not that. Did I go back to like the Haiden era of like Japan? It's like, no, this isn't ancient Kyoto because there's technology. In fact, it's like their currency is electronic money. He's like, oh, it's coins. So he's like, oh, so definitely not in ancient Kyoto. So like, where am I? I can't even get a meal because they won't take my money. Also, my phone is dead, so who knows if that translates anyway because it's different technology from a different world. And then we meet what is kind of like the crux of this story, that there's a black mist situation that happens. All of a sudden, like, there's a warning pop up, yo, get to an evacuation area. Perfect timing too, because like, whoa, this month, but also like I just, last week I watched all of season 1 of Kaiju number 8. Obviously, every episode's coming out one a week. I think the season finale is going to be coming out Friday, I believe, if I remember how I scheduled it out. But either way, and my point I'm bringing it up too is because Kaiju number 8 season 2 is coming out this later on this month. So, but obviously it's like the world's adjusted to like, hey, Kaijus are here, you have people to protect you, so it's just interesting timing and all that. But what I wasn't expecting is like people who are caught outside the evacuation zones or the barriers get crystallized. Because I was thinking like, oh, you're just stuck out here with the monsters. You are, but it's also you get stuck in these crystals. And when people were getting smashed, I was like, that sucks. People are petrified, they're defenseless, and these things come in and kill them. But Takeru, for whatever reason, is immune to it. Now, I'm curious, outside of what we find out later on, or was it I'm going to butcher the name, but it's like Onmyo. I'm butchering the names, but basically like the Shikigami turn into these things. Like, I thought this was just like, oh, like I saw from the trailer like Takeru transforms. I thought that's what it was. I didn't know he wouldn't be the only one, but also that it's a mech situation for the most part. Takeru's situation might be a little different, but the other one that shows up is literally a mech. It's literally a Shikigami gets turned. I don't know, like I think they infuse it with powers, and because it has like a strong like doll like aesthetic when it's not powered up, but when it's powered up, it turns in kind of like the Oni fighting like mech-esque thing. It's so interesting too, because like I like the juxtaposition of like, right, there's the regular animated style, but then like when it comes to the Oni as well as like the transformed states or the Shikigami transformed states, that's CG animated. There's a couple animes that have done stuff like that. The one that immediately comes to mind is like an anime from a decade ago called, I want to say Blast Rider. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's German. But it's an anime that kind of did a similar thing with like the transformations or like that. They're in 3D CGI animation. Obviously, recency thing too makes me think of Metaphor ReFantazio, specifically in its animated cutscenes. The monsters as well as the archetypes are and they're CGI animated like that too. In fact, because of that too being fresh in my mind, the good guys when they're transformed remind me of archetypes. They look like, I mean, all of it kind of looks like like some of the monster designs too, like feels aesthetically like it would fit in Metaphor ReFantazio too. So it's just interesting, but definitely like Takeru's form as well as that, was it Yura and the Atsu something guy, like their mech thing kind of reminds me of like I said, it feels, that in particular also reminds me of like an architect, because it feels like that straight up like magic you would see in Metaphor when they're like basically casting a spell. I think it's interesting too because theirs is like a two thing, so like you need two people to operate it, very much like Pacific Rim, even though I've never seen the movie, I've seen previews of it, versus it seems like Takeru's like on his own, so there's a lot we don't No, but obviously it's like, hey, I'm the main protagonist coming from a different world, coming to this world and able to use its magic in a way that no one else can. Because it doesn't seem like he has a Shikigami like they do. So that's why I'm like, his constitution thing is different. But we saw on the inside, I mean, it looked less like a mech on the inside from the glimpse we saw. It felt like more like, hey, this is a giant shell around him and he's just inside it. No, I should have thought about too, because I try not to talk about it as much because I talk about it all the time. But Trails of Cold Steel is in the same similar manner. I guess the Trails series in particular, because like they're more like you're in the other person are more like the Divine Knights, because those were also like CGI animated and like their animated cutscenes in some of them. But they're very much like Divine Knights, whereas spoilers. Takeru is more like Van when he's clouding himself into Grendel. You know, that's what it feels like. So, and those are two very different things. Even though there's like a slight similar parallel in constitution, even though their constitutions at their core are vastly different. It's just interesting to think about. Like, we'll probably have to wait to kind of really get to the nitty gritty of like those differences. But sadly, obviously, Takeru couldn't really do much against an Oni. He's kind of um, on his own in that capacity. I mean, granted, he literally took a laser beam to the face. Granted, he didn't get completely obliterated, so there's that. But he was mainly trying to protect a child because he was seeing literally all these other people getting murked in the process. So it's like, okay, I got to do what I can. But luckily, backup showed up and they took down the creature. And the moment it's dead, the black mist disappeared, because they're the black mist events where basically the world that the Oni come from bleed over into this world and create this situation. So it seems like the little green-haired character seems like they have like like there seems to be like the early warning sign, or I don't know. I'm curious, are they just gonna be a regular human that has these powers, or are they going to be like sentient like android or something? Because like the moment they have their like black mist incoming, then the warning signs come up. So it's like you have like the premonitions of what's to come. So I'm wondering, is it a thing of you're tied to the system is tied to your powers, or are you tied to the system because you are like you are a humanoid android that is the system? That's what I'm curious about. Obviously, our Takeru has that very tough exterior, so he's bumping heads with the good guys, and he doesn't like being told like, yo, you can't do anything because you don't have the power to fight the Oni. But at the end of the day, he is a good enough guy because he's looking at the kids like, okay, that kid's okay. He's not worried about, hey, I didn't get credit for like, they saved the day and you kind of robbed me of my time to shine, but at the end of the day, it's like, that kid's okay. That's all that matters. Once again, it's still sad because you're like, man, there's still quite a few people that thing killed, and it's just kind of like this just stark reality of this world. But he ends up running into Sukumiya again and kind of learns a little bit about this world from them. The leader of the Onmyo could probably help send him back to his world, because Sukumiya is the one that's like, oh, if you explaining, because like you say you're from Tokyo doesn't exist here, you must be from another world. But it's like, well, obviously a different world from the Oni, so that's interesting, like maybe we can help you get back to your world. But he's not too keen on it because he's like, I just found my crush and I'm happy to be here. And so he also sees her dance and they make their proper introduction. And she's like, oh, I won't forget you this time. But it's like, once again, he's like, yeah, I promise you I'd get stronger and protect you. And she's like, okay. So got off on the wrong foot, but found their footing eventually. But then the next day, she's kind of getting in trouble because of what he did. Him interfering with the performance, and it was supposed to be like in front of like some advisor was supposed to watch it, and I guess I don't think that guy who was chastising her is the advisor. I think he's kind of like the representative for the advisor, if I'm not mistaken. But then Takeru tried to be like, no, like it was me, like I should be the one to apologize. But then Sei comes in and just kind of puts him in his place again. It's like, once again, it's like, oh, hoity-toity kind of persona he's kind of got. He's taken an interest in Takeru. It's like, oh, I think there's going to be something fascinating about this guy. But he also tells Sukumiya, like, no, it's all going to be okay. But there's like this like expression she had on her face, like, okay, so I don't know if like, I don't know what to fully expect from that. I don't know if that ties into the ending of the episode at all, or is it more like he's like, right, like, there's definitely pieces to this that we're missing, but maybe that there's some subplot that they've got going on that they're making moves or something, and she just has to bite her time or something like that, or like, don't worry, things won't be as bad as you think they'll be. I don't know what to quite make of that. But sadly, another Black Mist, event happens, and Tsukimiya gets caught up in it. It seems like as long as they were inside the vehicle, sadly, the Black Mist seeps into the vehicles, and they're, I guess, like, if you're able to get out of the mist in time, it's fine. But Takeru finds out Tsukimiya's in trouble, grabs a weapon, and immediately takes off afterwards. The anti-Oni squad shows up, but they end up getting owned because this particular Oni, I was about to say, like, who has a similar thing? And I was thinking slightly of Lapis from Trails into Reverie. Kind of her S-craft kind of involves mirrors, but like this thing, like bouncing between different portals, is actually pretty badass, and it overwhelms our group. I mean, especially because they were hampered by, hey, we got to protect these civilians who are stuck here. So they took quite the beating. Luckily, Takeru shows up, even with no powers, still was able to pierce through this creature, and then after literally getting grabbed and squished and broken, which I wasn't expecting it to get that damn brutal. I mean, his fingers are broken, his leg is broken. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. But then, like, he snaps to it, powers awaken, which I do think it's interesting, and do correct me on this. His left hand is the one that has the symbol. I don't know what that symbol is. I don't know if that's supposed to be like his family symbol or what. But when he transformed, his right hand's kind of like the bulky hand. I don't know if it's just because traditionally most people are right-handed, but I'm always a fan of like right-handed stuff in like video games and anime, because that tends to be like, oh, you have some superpowered arm. And granted, he has an entire transformed state, but his right arm is like bulky. But I think it's interesting. You'd expect it to be his left hand, because his left hand's the one with the symbol, not his right hand. But I'm pretty sure that's the case, but maybe I'm mistaken. But yeah, kind of pulling a little bit of a Kafka from Kaiju number 8. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this in one shot. Bust through your attack, and then hit you with another hit. And, well, the main hit was like from him punching you and beating the thing. And luckily, Tsukimiya is okay. But then all of a sudden, a gate pops up and breaks her. I was like, that didn't just happen. I went, wait, what? And then all of a sudden, he gets stabbed. I'm like, what the? I was like, someone's going to undo this or what? I'm like, wait, what? And then, like, the intro of like how he ended up in this world, we see those black feathers, and then time got rewound and we're back to when he first came to this world. I'm like, wait, is this Live, Die, Repeat? The anime? Which is funny to say, considering, like, well, Live, Die, Repeat is based off a manga. I always forget the title. Isn't it All I Need Is Kill? I believe that's the translated title. I'm not going to remember the actual literal Japanese title. I believe that's like the literal translation to the title. I've never seen Live, Die, Repeat. A lot of people love the movie. I've just never seen it, nor have I read the manga that it's originally based on. But I was like, is that the shtick to the series? And I'm curious, like, because it's interesting, despite him not, like, even though he died, his injuries are only the injuries he had before he died. So I'm wondering, like, is it a thing of, it rewinds you to, like, oh god, we get into a lot of stuff. Like, there was a British TV show called The Lazarus Project. Basically, every like July there's a new checkpoint. So basically, I think maybe it's July 1st. I don't remember the time frame now. But basically, every July 1st there's a checkpoint. So no matter what happens in that year, like, basically they can reset time to the beginning of that checkpoint, and the next July 1st becomes the new checkpoint over and over again. So I'm wondering, like, his state of being, is it like at every 24-hour checkpoint or 12-hour checkpoint? Because he didn't come back looking the way he did when he first came to that world. Like, after he ran into that first Oni and got beat up and then eventually bandaged up, that's what he looks like now. He didn't still have his wounds from this most recent fight with the Oni where it literally stabbed him in the stomach. So that's why I'm curious, like, what... But he's also coming with the knowledge of, yo, I did die. What's happening? So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I wonder, is it specifically Tsukimiya? I wonder if it's a thing of her death triggers a reset always. And maybe that's why Sei was like, oh, don't worry, it's going to be fine. Because no matter, or what, like, if something goes wrong, we can always rewind. Like, I don't know. this is a technological world, but it seems like that is more mystical than it is technological. Maybe, maybe not. Like when I'm referencing the TV show The Lazarus Project, that was technologically. This is more fantasy, but there all is technological, science fictional elements to this world. But I mean, who knows? A lot of that technology could just be like, well, it looks like that, but it is magical technology. That's the thing that got me. I was like, hey, yo, is that what this is going to be like? And maybe it's also like she has a certain number of lives that coincide with the reset. So it isn't eternal forever. Like maybe there's other triggers that lead to like, yo, like, and it seems the premise of it all is to protect and save her. And maybe it's because like, she's the savior, and if she dies, it's game over. So like I said, I don't know if there's some like dead man switch inside of her or set up for her that when she dies it resets, or is it specifically Takeru who is the dead man switch? Because even if it's a thing of she'll always come back, will reset, it's still the thing of no, she's dying and I don't want that because I care for her and I want to protect her like I promised. So most of what I saw from the trailer to my recollection is mainly stuff from this first episode. So I have no idea what to expect, especially with this, like I said, live, die, repeat element to it. How that plays out, what the core crux of this all is, what the secret is of these Onis pouring in from another world, what Takeru's full role is in all of this. Is his constitution different from like the Shikigami situation? Because Sei seemed interesting. Like, oh, this guy's a lot more interesting than I thought. I already had an idea it was interesting. That would be even more interesting. So like I said, have no idea what to fully expect. I am excited to see where the rest of this season ends up taking us going forward. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.